Hi everyone, welcome. Gonna give it a couple minutes just to fill up the stream, but not too long because as I always say, I don't like to punish the punctual. So welcome, thank you for being here. I just want to also make sure that I am properly live and that everything is connected. If you are, yes, you could probably hear that. I got it, so I don't need to hear myself speak, but I do want to see who is here, and sometimes I can't always necessarily see who's here because I'm talking and I'm not just looking at the screen, but I generally have my computer next to me. I'm recording from my phone or going live from my phone, and I can see the comments next to me, usually, not always, but that's the goal. So let me know where your name and where you're viewing from if you're here live. Also, if you're watching this on a replay, you can type in hashtag replay and let me know also your name and where you're viewing from. I'd love to hear from you. And then also I can get your energy as well, just knowing that you're here. And then that can sometimes guide conversations a little bit. Also, if you have any questions that come up or need any clarification by any means throughout the entire episode, feel free to type it in there. Like I say, if you're watching this on a replay, I'll come back and check on the comments anyways and still be able to hopefully help you with an answer and bring some clarification to you. And there was something else, but it came and went so quickly. So here we are. Today is Tasty Tuesday, episode 14. Wow, time sure flies. I really am enjoying doing these Tasty Tuesday episodes. I hope you are too. If you have any suggestions about something you would like to hear, whether it's related to how your body feels and foods that might be helping, or if it's related to specific organs, as we had a request a couple weeks ago to specifically focus on the liver. So I did, and actually that's really, what's the word? I'm very passionate about that. It sounds kind of funny to be passionate about the liver, but liver health in general is something that has been in my space for many years now. So I have a lot of information and I'm happy to share. I'm passionate about sharing and passing the information on to you. So if there's something specific about that, we can try to look into it or see how it goes with the topic. Also, if you have questions, for example, about, I did an episode on it, but this kind of thing, like, are air fryers good or bad? If you haven't seen that episode, you can go and view that. It should still be in the Facebook page. You can scroll down. You could probably type in the search as well, Tasty Tuesday, and then see what comes up. Or also you can find me on YouTube because I upload these files on YouTube. And you can just search my name, Lori Voss Furukawa, to be able to find the Tasty Tuesday videos that I do, and they're all under TCM Nutrition if you are searching on there. So definitely say hi and let me know that you're here. I will get started now. I don't like to keep you waiting and to punish the punctual. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lori Voss Furukawa. I am originally from Canada, and today's topic, before I go there, actually, rewind one little section there. Today's topic is Let's Get Fresh from a TCM perspective. I thought it was kind of fun and light, and I like that. Hi, Francesca. Thank you for being here. Yes, so let's get fresh. And I thought this would also be a nice topic because recently the last episode, I talked to specifically about cancer in our liver, and that's a little bit of a heavy topic, especially if we ourselves have cancer or if we know someone else who has or had cancer. It's very challenging for us, so it's important to still learn the information, but I wanted to do a little bit lighter today, so I thought about Let's Get Fresh, and I'm going to speak about fresh fruits and vegetables and the importance of it from a TCM nutrition perspective, and a little bit more information always comes in. So yes, again, now back to myself. My name is Lori Voss Furukawa, originally from Canada. I grew up in a very rural area of Canada, farming parents, farming community. So we always had gardens in the summer, even though Canada's summer is short, but we make the most of it, as most Canadians do. We always had a huge garden with all kinds of vegetables, and so did our neighbors, so did our grandmas, so did all my aunts and uncles. It was definitely part of it. I don't know if I know anybody who didn't have a garden. And basically, it was always something that was part of my life in the summer months, and we had fresh vegetables always available to us. Fruit was a little bit harder to have fresh, simply because we don't grow so much fruit in Canada. Besides apples, they can grow in Canada. And I think pears also, maybe some cherries there might be some trees now around, but I didn't have that when we were kids, or I don't recall. Although we have, actually, that reminds me, when you go out into the bush or into the back forest, there is something called Saskatoon berries that are fresh when they're in season. And also, of course, blueberries we're able to find and go foraging around to find those naturally and have fresh as well. And I'm sure there is some other ones. And I am getting more and more into foraging now. So I don't even really know a lot of the natural stuff that is available in the area that I grew up in. I'm learning more now here than I am in Europe, actually. But it's all good. All the knowledge is good, and I'm welcome to that. So yeah, I grew up really countryside with lots of fresh produce available to me. Unfortunately, we also had cupboards full of junk food in the house. There was one cupboard section that was just really like food for parties and that kind of stuff. But of course, it was sometimes eaten in the evenings and all that. And we had very grateful for. I had a grandma that lived just next door to us, and she liked to spoil her grandkids and provided us with lots of junk food. And she also had an absolutely amazing garden outside. Whenever we would go there in the summer, she was never in her house. She was always outside, and we had to go to find her in the garden and make sure we say, "Grandma, we're here, hi," before we get there, because we wanted not to scare her, right? Because just come up behind her, she was always bent over doing something. So yeah, and the best was picking the carrots right out of the ground, wipe off the dirt a little bit and just start eating it, a little bit extra crunch with the dirt on there, or pulling the fresh peas off the vines as well. Those were some of the best things to eat, super fresh. Unfortunately, like I said, I did have a lot of access to a lot of junk food, and that plagued me with a lot of health issues and weight, body issues, and therefore also self-esteem and self-confidence issues as well. So that's my story in terms of that coming to that way. And I continued on my health journey along the way, and now I have come back around almost, a 360, come back to really eating fresh and doing more gardening on my own time and space as well. So yes, the last 3 episodes, like I said, were specific for liver health. If you haven't seen them and that's interesting for you, the first one we did was specific more towards the connection with liver and the different elements that are out there. So we have like wood, water, fire, earth, and metal, and also the seasons and the colors, stuff like that. And the second episode, I talked more specifically about foods that can help support our liver. And the third episode was specific to our cancer, liver and the link to cancer. So today's episode, we're going to talk about getting fresh. And I don't mean getting fresh in the bedroom, more specifically in the kitchen. So yes, why would you want to think about eating something fresh? This is our first question. So basically, when we eat something fresh, it provides us with life force. And that is the TCM nutrition perspective that I come from, and that I work from, and that I live from, that my kitchen works on, and that my entire being stems from. We need to focus on our life force. Without our life force, we are nothing. So that is a question you might be asking. Well, what exactly is life force? I never heard of this before. Basically, our life force, you could think of it as like a battery pack, or a battery like you have on your cell phone or your handy or your mobile phone. It shows the battery life, right? So you've been charged, you get 100%, and as the day goes, it goes shorter and shorter depending on your usage. Similarly, in our bodies, we have this kind of battery pack. Simplification or simplifying it, we have a kind of battery pack, and as we live our life, not necessarily in one day that we deplete our energy, but as we live our life from the day that we're born, we use different types of energy for different things. And there can be things like natural restoration, for example, of our liver. That's going to take some of our life force energy. So it's not necessarily that we do things like staying up all night that takes our energy, or is the only thing that takes our energy, but that will absolutely deplete more of our energy if we're doing lots of late nights or staying up late often, that kind of thing. So there's definitely things that are going to contribute to taking away from our life force because we are alive, and that's normal. There's natural things, like I say, like our hair growth. It needs to have life force in order to grow. Our nails need life force in order to grow. Our skin, the complexion, our vision, all these things require life force in order to function properly. So that's actually a good indicator when things start to malfunction or get off balance or off kilter kind of thing. For example, if you're noticing hair loss, if you're noticing all of a sudden your nails are getting more brittle, skin conditions, if your skin is all of a sudden really dry or maybe it's always been really dry, but now it's even worse. Or like I say, maybe it's always been the case. There's still an opportunity to look at what is your life force level. Now, we don't have an exact measurement like on our phones that we can see this battery pack that's full or at 80% or 69% or wherever it's at, right? We don't have that for our body. So that's why it's important to have more and more body awareness so we can start to see, oh, wait a second, I washed my hair and lots came out today, or every time I brush my hair, lots is coming out. These kinds of things are indicators. Maybe your joints, also joint pain, all these kinds of things, like I say, that are we kind of question, oh, what's going on here? Oh, I didn't notice that before, or maybe, I can't eat those foods anymore. That bothers me. There's something in there with the life, connected to the life force, because these processes, all these bodily functions require life force in order to work and happen. And that life force is necessary. So without it, or if there's a depletion of it, we're going to experience more and more potential disease, illnesses, or other issues that come up in our body. So, some other words in other cultures and countries that the word life force is also translated in, well, it can be just energy. That's one way, but more specific we can get, if we get into the Indian or yogic culture, we say prana, which is technically or I shouldn't say technically, but it has to do with our breathing. So we bring in life force with our breath. And you all know that as well. I think that's a very easy one. I mean, I say you all know that, and I don't want to sound like snarky or snarky, that kind of thing, if it's something that is new to you. But with breathing, the fact that we know that without our breath, we're going to be gone very quickly. That's something that we all know. So clearly, when we can focus on our breath, we're going to add to that life force, okay? Another one is qi. So we have, that's coming from China. So we have just the word qi is going to be that energy, that life force within us. You might have heard Tai Chi. It's actually a different word, but it's similar. Again, we're looking at that universal energy life force. The word ki, K-I, actually is the ending on Reiki. So Reiki actually is two Japanese characters, and the second one is specifically ki, which breaks down to universal energy or life force energy. So that's the same kind of concept. All of them function and run together. We can call it whatever we want. The point is, without life force, we are no longer living. And as I mentioned, as long as we're living, there is going to be a natural depletion of life force. We can do things in our life that are going to speed up that natural, the word just went out, the natural degradation of our life force. Like I say, late nights, partying, eating improper foods, all these kinds of things, taking drugs, doing and I don't necessarily mean street drugs. It can also be pharmaceutical drugs that are going to help and contribute to a rapid depletion of our life force as well. That being said, we focus on increasing that life force. Now, because we're alive and living and things happen and it's just not possible, we'll never get back to that 100%. Like, for example, when we were first born, even then it's questionable because there's many factors that come into that. What was the life force that our mother had and was able to give us as children as well? But when we are alive, no matter what age, through the food that we eat, we have the ability to increase our life force or replenish potential loss. And that is why we want to eat fresh foods as much as possible. Okay? Absolutely imperative to be eating fresh foods on a regular basis. And I say regular basis, I really mean a daily basis. Because regular for some people might be, oh, once a week I had a salad. Nah, so let's try to increase that. Every day we want to be eating something fresh that is going to help contribute to our life force energy. And I can tell you specifically, before I started eating in alignment with TCM nutrition, I was not eating that much fresh food. Of course, I had some. But before that, it was 2018 when I really adopted fully and truly TCM nutrition perspective of life force enhancement in my life. The health issues that I had, hair loss, brittle nails, skin issues. I was sick often. I was tired often. I had fatigue like crazy. I also had anxiety. And I probably had some other things that I can't come up with off the top of my head. But those things already were plaguing me and bringing me down. That low energy, always feeling needing to sleep, I couldn't even go to a proper yoga class. I didn't teach yoga to myself or do a yoga practice with myself. I already had my teacher's training, but I didn't have the energy to even do a yoga practice for myself. I tried to go to somebody else's yoga class and it knocked me on my butt. Even knowing that I could stop any pose I want, because I know that I'm not in that ego space that I need to compete with anybody else on the mat. But I would stop a pose, or I would come out of a pose, take a break. When I got home from that hour yoga class, I went to take a nap every time because my life force was so low. As soon as I started eating a diet that was basically pumped up with life force nutrition, and I don't mean pumped up with like steroids pumped up. This is like real food pumped up. I started noticing changes, noticeably within 3 weeks. I started losing weight, extra weight that I had been gaining, because that was just like, also when your life force is low, your metabolism's slow. Everything just kind of sags on, droops on, adds up, gets heavier, yucky, that sluggish energy, right? So same with what you're going to see in your body. So yeah, I started losing weight. I started having more energy. I didn't need all the naps anymore. My skin condition got better. Everything started improving. My hair growth started coming back as well. Everything was it fed that. It was so clear to me that this was the diet that I needed to have for the rest of my life, to continue to have these kinds of foods and principles in my life, because I could see the changes so prominently. And I continue today, 4 years after starting this way of living and eating, it is still affecting me positively, and I'm still seeing positive changes in my life. It's amazing, and I absolutely recommend it for everybody and everyone. And I am here to tell you that if I can make these changes and see these improvements in my life, absolutely, it's available for you as well. You just have to be devoted to making those healthy changes. It's absolutely possible for you. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Everybody always makes fun of Canadians, how they say about or doubt. These kinds of words is out. Anyway, sometimes I make fun of myself as well, just to, have a little fun. Let me know how this feels so far. Does that resonate with you? Have you heard of life force before? Is that a new concept for you? What do you feel about learning? Does that sound true to you? So that's why we should be eating fresh foods. So I talk about fresh foods. That's the topic of today, is fresh. But why we need them is because it provides life force for us. So now, what is fresh? Okay? What does it really mean to have fresh food? You can type in the comments what you think it means to have fresh foods. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to tell you from a TCM nutrition perspective what it means to have fresh foods in your diet. Most basic, simple definition of it is food that is picked and eaten as close as possible. Sorry, I got the words wrong. I just rewind that for a second. So something that is eaten as close as possible to when it is picked from the mother energy source. That's a better sentence. I'll say that one more time just because it was confusing for me the first round. Something that is eaten, first picked and eaten as close as possible as it can be from when it's taken from that mother energy source. Okay, so the mother energy source is that plant, whatever plant that if it's a tomato plant, so you take the tomato off the plant, eating it, as close as possible to when you've picked it off that plant is going to, that fruit or vegetable is going to have the absolute most impactful life force for you. Now, it's not always possible, we know. Longer time that this food, if we go still with the tomato, is away from the mother source, the plant, the energy source, the less and less and less life force it has, and eventually the tomato is going to sit on your counter and rot and be dead and not edible anymore, right? So you can kind of see that when it's first bought, it's fresh and beautiful in color, and if you did an experiment or ever forgotten anything in your kitchen counter or your fridge, you will see that slowly deteriorates. The outside gets wrinkly, it gets soggy, or it gets mushy. That's the depletion of life force, right? So it could be even similar like our skin as we get older and have less and less life force as well. Naturally, as we grow older, we're going to be consuming that life force energy battery pack that is within us. So we need to really contribute to enhancing and improving that. But as we get older, you can see also our skin gets a little bit more wrinkly, more saggy, more lines on it. Everything gets a little bit more. So that's similar. It's just basically signs of loss of life force. We don't have that same elasticity that we had when we were 15 years old in our skin, for example. It's just different. And I'm not saying by eating fresh foods, you're not going to experience any of these aging signs. That's not what I'm saying. However, if you're eating a diet that is full of life force foods, specifically fresh foods, as today's topic is, you will absolutely be contributing to anti-aging foods, because fresh foods are full of antioxidants, and antioxidants are beautiful for helping keep our skin nice and healthy and having that elasticity in it and helping everything keep nice and beautiful. So there is a nice tip, extra tip added in today. So that is what is fresh food. Okay, so you can think about for a moment something that you buy in a package or a box, and it has a shelf life of 6 months or 1 year, 2 years. What kind of life force, nutrition is in there? Very, very little, if any, and actually it contributes to being a burden in our system. Okay, so I'm not telling you this so you feel bad, so you feel like, oh shit, I just bought all that. Pardon my language. I do my best not to swear on here, and I'm pretty good. I usually don't, and I do sometimes have a foul mouth, so pardon me if it does slip out sometimes. So those foods that come in a box or a bag or packaging that have been processed, they're sitting on the supermarket shelves for how long, and they are having a long shelf life, those are really not going to provide our life force enhancement at all. And as I said, they're most likely contributing to a digestive burden that burdens our digestive system, burdens the liver, basically is burdening everything inside here and bringing down. When something is a burden, it is contributing to the depletion of our life force naturally, because when it's a digestive burden, we actually have to use more energy to be able to process those foods, to be able to break down those foods. Some of these processed foods are hard for our body to actually digest, so our body has to work harder at it. So we're actually contributing to a greater depletion of life force. In today's topic, we want to eat fresh foods, which are contributing to an increase of life force or life force enhancement, as I refer to it throughout my nutritionally empowered transformation program. So, also another factor, to think about is the foods that come in boxes, in bags, and all those things like that are on the shelf and have a long shelf life. Those are brought to us from specific companies that want us to buy their products because they are added and fortified with different calcium and minerals and nutrients, and they are good for us, and they provide us fiber put your money back in your pocket, go back to the fresh produce section, my love, go get some more veggies and fresh produce, because that is your true source of calcium, minerals, vitamins, fiber. You don't need these things that come in the box and the bag in order to have those things. And now I say that, but something like whole grains, for example, might, unless you shop at bulk stores or zero waste shops, you're going to be buying, for example, your whole grains still in a bag. So let's be flexible with when I say something that's coming in a bag, it's more I'm referring to a processed food as opposed to your dried chickpeas that might be coming in a bag. Okay, so let's just want to throw that out there so people don't get confused. Well, I'm buying this rice that's in a bag or comes in a box. What's Lori talking about this nonsense about this not being life force enhancement? That's not what I'm referring to. I'm specifically referring to stuff that has been made in a factory. Let's put it that way. If it's been made in a factory, that means the life force has been sucked out of it and drained out of it, taken out, and it's not going to provide us with life force. So we want to focus on life force enhancement today. Just having some tea here. So next point, how? So we talked about why it's important to eat life force, fresh foods. You see, I just call it life force foods because those two run hand in hand. Why it's important to eat fresh foods. How? What is fresh? So it's basically picked as close as possible to the mother source of energy and eaten as close as possible to that. And now, how can you get in this life force or fresh foods as much as possible? So one thing is fresh markets. If you have, whether you call it a wet market, vegetable market, a farmer's market, or if it's just your neighbor selling their vegetables on the side of the road, whatever you want to call it, these kinds of, I like veggie markets or farmer's market. That word fits with me, but I sometimes interchange or make up maybe even another one. I like going to the markets, the veggie markets, because I love having fresh food in my kitchen and in my diet and in my life. And I specifically go to a couple vendors that I know sell organic products. So I don't have to wander around and think which ones are the best or who's spraying their stuff. I know these guys are organic. I go there, I just go directly to their stalls, and I know that they're doing the best that they can also to have as much local produce. And if they are, for example, importing something from Spain or Italy, it's going to say on the label as well. So that's another point. If you don't have access to a fresh farmer's market or veggie market kind of place, and you do buy your stuff from a supermarket, take a look at the origin of where the food was produced. For example, if you live in Canada and you're eating mangoes from Peru, I mean, mangoes don't grow in Canada anyway, so clearly this isn't fresh. It's come a long way since it got picked off that mango tree to when it got to the supermarket shelves in your hometown. Or even it can be something now, if we think about like spinach, this is also something that can actually come from a more local source, but sometimes it's coming from China. Why do I have to eat these things that are coming from China in a bag, for example? This is nonsense, and we should do our best to be diligent, to read the labels. Maybe it says on the price tag label where it's coming from, or it might say on the actual packaging that the vegetables or produce might be wrapped in as well, produced in or product from, these kinds of things. So it's important for us to do our diligence and to check where these things are coming from, because also the foods that are the foods that are fresh are going to serve us the best. If they're coming from far away, clearly they're not fresh. It's the farthest thing from fresh if they have to come from over the oceans and across the seas and from another country that's really getting away from fresh as far as fresh can be, right? That's pretty logical as well. So doing our best to get from the fresh vegetable market if possible, and then also if it's from the supermarket, check where the location or the region that it's coming from, because that can be also deceiving sometimes. We have also here, I'm fortunate there's a couple different organic supermarkets that are nearby, and one of them is like a chain supermarket store, which is good. It has lots of stuff in there, and I don't usually buy my fresh produce from there because more often than not, their fresh produce does not even come from Germany, and that disgusts me to no end that I live in a country that has such an abundance of fresh produce that I know is available, and we are buying things that come from Argentina, Peru, Morocco, all over the world. I don't give a rat's backside if this stuff is organic or not when we have produce that comes from this region that I live in, and you are buying stuff and selling it to me in this organic location that is coming across the sea. This is no. Absolutely not. I will not take part in it. I will not use my money to support this, and I don't care if it's saving me money because it's coming from farther, because that also doesn't make sense. If something had to be shipped all the way across the globe in order for it to be in my supermarket, how on earth can it be cheaper than what I can buy at a fresh vegetable market that is grown in the region? This is, for me, this is also nonsense, and I'm not willing to put my money in that pocket, in that company's pocket, wherever that is, going to whoever. I really prefer to source as local as much as possible. And I absolutely refuse to buy things that are coming from across, because it's just against my principles, because I'm also very much passionate about our environment. And I believe that we can make more sustainable choices that have the ability to support us on all levels for our own health, as I already mentioned about the point of eating fresh, but also for future generations and for the future of our planet. All of it really comes together and lines up beautifully when you start to open your eyes a little bit more, when you start to make those connections and realizations with everything, right? Okay, so that was one answer for how to get fresh, is the fresh produce section at your supermarket or fresh garden markets. Another one is windowsill gardening. If you live in a balcony, if you live in an apartment and you only have a balcony, windowsill balcony gardening. You can have a couple pots. You don't have to have much. You can only have one even. And that one can be giving you an opportunity to have fresh tomatoes, for example, or fresh basil or mint. There's so many little things that can grow easily. There's also different planters that I've seen that they grow, they're higher up, and I think there's like usually 3 or 4 stacks of them, specifically for growing potatoes. So I believe there's like holes in the side up closer to the top, so you fill it with soil. There's some holes, I guess your one potato plant, like they come out of the sides a little bit, then there's a next pod on top and the same thing. I don't know exactly, I don't own one, but there's so many different options that are available for people who do live in a city and live, like I say, in an apartment and only have balcony or windowsill space. These are going to be able to provide you with fresh, although it's not, of course, providing you with everything you would eat, but there is some fresh available for you if your neighbor decides to do the same thing, or maybe talk about it with your neighbor and you can exchange produce. I'm going to grow tomatoes, you're going to grow cucumbers, the next one growing mint and basil, these kinds of things. And then we all kind of trade and change, because the reality is also one plant, if you're living alone or even if you have a small family, it sometimes produces more when things are ready and ripe to be eaten. It's not always able that one person or one family can eat everything. So we can learn community trade and working together as well with that. Some things, since I'm talking about windowsill, that I like to have fresh on my windowsill here is mint. So I trim my mint from outside, which is fresh also, but trimming it because it grows like crazy here, and it can be definitely considered a weed and be invasive and take over a garden. It will grow high and wide and take everything over, no problem. So I'm doing my best to cut everything back, and when I cut it back, I put it in this water, and look at all those stems. These are just normal trimmings, and the roots just grow from there like crazy. So they're still growing in this glass of water. You can see they're growing up high here. And I just take off the top a little bit, put it in with some water. So that's another thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to eat fresh, but having that fresh mint and putting it in with tea, you can make like a tea. You can just put hot water with the mint in your cup or in the teapot. You can also put it in if you have a regular, I have a water bottle like this that I take out when I go hiking or if I'm out in the day. Put a mint sprig in here with normal temperature water. Now I have fresh mint water. This is beautiful for our liver. That's adding to the freshness in our life as well. And when we have more freshness in our life, more life force, more vitality, more vibrancy, everything. It all contributes. Our skin is better, all of it, right? So why wouldn't we want to eat more fresh? So that's something you can keep on your windowsill very easy. Mint grows, like I say, easy in a pot as well. Basil, these kinds of littler things that can be just sitting on your windowsill. Another thing that I have on my windowsill actually is some onions that I am regrowing. I had cut the onions, and now the roots are here. They're soaking in water, continuing to grow, and you can see this beautiful fresh green that's starting to grow up there. And soon, some of these are smaller than others. I have a little one like that, a little fat one, but he's starting to grow. He, she, it. And yeah, basically I just change the water every couple days or every day and a half, 2 days. And then, yeah, soon I'm going to be putting these little guys into the earth, and then they start to grow more out there. So it's giving me fresh onions. And this is recycling from onions and leek. And I've done it with celery before as well, which I have 3 beautiful celery plants growing outside right now. Just cutting them off, cutting the ends off, soaking the ends in water, changing the water regularly, and then you have some fresh produce that is available for you. And you don't have to be buying expensive produce all the time, because you can have these little things ready and available for you. And also you're contributing to recycling and helping the produce just give more life force for us as well, right? So that's really beautiful. Yeah, just looking down at my notes here. So I have windowsill, balcony, and also outside gardening. Naturally, if you have a large yard space, you absolutely can, till up, work up the earth in a little corner to help actually have the earth, your vegetables in contact with the earth. If the soil is available for you there to grow, of course, you want to make sure that your soil has good nutrients and good quality in that. I had a little bit of a story I had shared on the Sunday post about my first veggie patch that I grew on my own. It was our last year in Japan. I had already quit my teaching job because we were getting ready to move. And I had the summer free, basically, and I decided I wanted to do some gardening because we had a little earthy space just outside our apartment. So I said, okay, I started working up the garden, tilled, hand dug everything up. Then I planted some seeds, bought some little plants already, planted some other things. Everything started to grow a little bit, and all of a sudden everything started to die. And I thought, oh man, what's going on? The best conclusion I came to, because I was caring and loving for this as much as anything could be possible, is the soil quality was so poor. So then I decided, okay, well, clearly now I've already passed like the peak of when you should start your growing. So I decided to just turn my garden into a compost pile. So I saved all my kitchen scraps. I dug a little bit deeper and buried my kitchen scraps and just put it on top. My neighbors probably thought I was absolutely bonkers, because Japanese people generally don't do these kinds of things, especially in the city, but I didn't care. I felt like even if I'm not here for the next growing season, I am, giving back to the earth. And out of that, a beautiful watermelon grew out of some of my kitchen scraps that I had. And that was my prized possession out of that garden all summer that I worked on. I had one beautiful big watermelon that was really lovely. So, I mean, that story is a little bit, it's a bit of a trial and error situation, how that was. So that's why I say make sure your nutrients are in your garden. You can buy some organic fertilizer, or also if you have a composter, you can definitely fertilize your garden naturally. That way I recommend avoiding chemicals, because as soon as those chemicals are in contact with there, it takes years and years and years for those to be washed away and to get out of there. And we don't want that in our plants, because we don't want that in our body. That would be the opposite of contributing to our life force. That would be depleting. And we have enough depleters already, stress, all the things, all blah, blah, all this garbage out there. That's all depleting. So even something just like mental stress, that's going to deplete our life force as well. So yeah, outside gardening, sharing your produce, share your produce with your neighbors is also really good. Good option there. I have a good friend here. She has like in Germany, we have these little like outside garden spaces that Started after, I think, World War One or two. I think World War Two, but not entirely sure. And they were basically because more people were moving into cities and they didn't have garden or land space. So the government or cities bought up big land sections and they sectioned off little garden or allotment areas where people could specifically rent them, I think, for maybe like €100 a year, maybe less, something like this. And it was specifically to produce vegetables. It's not a living space. It's not supposed to have a bed or a toilet in it, nothing like that. It is really just a garden land space. So my friend has one very near here, actually. And this year we are both, she always has a little bit of stuff in there, but this year I've started also, I planted corn there a couple weeks ago. So that's really exciting. I can't do so much in my own yard because of how it is so wet where we are, just the way that the yard is, and we get a lot of shade. Half the yard is covered with shade. It's not a big yard either. But the slugs are unbelievable, and I refuse to use harsh chemicals, so it's my own reality that I do hand picking slugs off of my produce that is here, which is disgusting, and I really don't like that job, but I have to do it, otherwise my slugs will eat everything, which I learned also the first year that I was here. And also, yeah, like I say, my garden is also quite wet and doesn't also necessarily get a lot of sun in some areas, so it's really, I'm learning to pick and choose what I can grow here, and I have the beautiful opportunity to share a garden space with my friends, so I'm planting some stuff there as well. And it just feels really good also to get in contact with the earth. So yeah, basically today we talked about fresh foods. We spoke about why we should have them in our life. That was the life force energy or life force enhancement. We talked about what is fresh. So what is the classification? Wanting to eat it as close as possible to being picked off of that mother energy source, and how to get more fresh into our diet. And I just gave you those beautiful ideas. I don't need to recap, I believe. So let me know if you have any questions with that, because I would be more than happy to help. Let me know if you do plant seeds and what your garden is like. How do you, what's your favorite thing to plant or least favorite thing about gardening? I'm getting more and more into it. As I said, I grew up with it, but I didn't necessarily always like it when I was a kid. So it's something that I am working on more now as I grow up. As I grow up, still growing up. Oh, my stomach just growled. Hope you didn't hear that on the recording. Anyways, so if you are interested in learning more about how to increase your life force, this is a foundational piece. It's actually specifically module 2 of the program that I'm running, but it is an overlying theme of everything in TCM nutrition. And if that is of interest to you, absolutely send me a message. Click on the link when you find it under this post or on other posts to set up a clarity call with me, because I want to see if the program is right for you. I don't want to just be accepting everybody to come in, because it's a space where it needs to be right for you and it needs to be right for me for us to work together, or else we're going to have friction for a long time, and we don't want that. We want things to go good so we can increase our life force, right? And how do you know also, if you're thinking like, I don't know if this course is right for me, if this program is right for me. I heard Lori talking about it, but I'm not sure. So I'll give you 3 main points that means it could be right for you. If you have current health issues that you want to heal from a nutritional perspective, and I say nutritional perspective, but actually my program works on nourishment on all levels. So we work with mental, we work physical, we work emotional, and we work spiritual. There's a yoga component to the course that's optional. There is an energy work component that we are doing every time we meet. We do energy work, so we're clearing out the energetic component that can be emotional or mental or mentally stuff, and it also can be even physical and spiritual that come into that space. It really is. And also, of course, we work with nutrition all the time. That's the base, but it's always different kinds of things. And we do mental work, we do the mindset work, all of it, because I know I've been on this healing journey since 2010. And the stuff that I've learned on there, I have condensed in a beautiful way to be able to give this package for my clients who truly care about healing themselves if they are already faced with issues. Another reason is if you want to prevent health issues from coming into your life and prevent disease and illness and even potentially cancer, if this is something that you're thinking about. Now, this course has this groundwork, the foundational information to help you move forward with life force enhancement. And that is the basic principles of eating fresh food. It's going to enhance your life force. But like I say, fresh food is only one component of life force enhancement. There's many other factors that we look at in nutritionally empowered transformations, how you can increase your life force so you can be vibrant, live a healthy life, enjoy time with your children if you have children, enjoy time with your grandchildren if you have grandchildren, and all of that, right? And also, one other main factor that is really important for this, if you are interested in reaching and maintaining your weight management goals, that is another amazing factor that this program will help you to get there, because this information is so potent. And it, like I say, it enhances your life force. So of course it's going to help you reach those goals. Like, it's just, for me, it's just logical. When we increase that life force, we increase the healing capacity in our body. Everything functions better at more optimal rates. And it helps us in the long run to really be able to have healthy weight, get ourselves healed, and continue to be free of disease and illnesses, because we don't need that in our life. There's enough issues and things that go on out there. We want to keep this in here as healthy and balanced as possible. And in nutritionally empowered transformations, you have that opportunity to learn these foundational tools that we go through. I guide you. I'm there for you, supporting you entirely throughout the course. There's creative application as well. So I give you recipe ideas. We work with so many different things. And of course, you will be able to walk away with those tools when you're done and incorporate them in your everyday life for the rest of your life, for future generations, and for the future health of our planet as well. The current wait list is open. So the next round of this program is set to start in July. If you are interested to line up to start in July, send me a message. We'll set up that clarity call, and automatically you have the opportunity to receive 500 euros off of the next program fee, because that is how wait lists work for my program. Get your name on that wait list, you automatically are receiving that 500 euro discount. So why not wait? And that offer is only available to the end of May. So that's not much longer. We have we have 1 week, because today is the 24th and next Tuesday is the 31st of May. So there's 1 week to get that call in so you can get your name on that wait list and receive that discount for yourself. You can send me a message at nina.laurie@easternbalance.org. You can send me a message on Facebook. You can also comment on this video, say, hey, Laurie, where's the link? I don't see it. Or also, if the clarity call time slots are not available for you when you have time, send me a message. Also say, hey, these times don't work for me. Can we find something else? I mean, being nice and all that, but definitely we'll find time to work together to have a chat to see if this is right for you. I realized as I looked down at my counter, I had something else I just wanted to show you quickly. So on Tuesdays, every morning, we have our fresh vegetable market in the local community. And I was able to go this morning, as I always do every Tuesday. And here's some fresh produce that I bought this morning. Some beautiful rhubarb. It's in season right now. I love it, love it, love it. I'm going to steam it later and make it super delicious for myself. Some fresh asparagus I bought. It's asparagus season here now as well. Love this. Again, we're going with fresh, and it's going to be fresh. That means it's going to be in season, right? Generally speaking, we want to think about a couple factors where it's coming from, those kinds of things naturally, right? But this is definitely, guarantee you, seasonal, regional. Also, another thing that I saw at the market today were these beautiful potatoes. Oh my gosh, I grew up eating potatoes, and to be honest, they're not my favorite, but sometimes I do like to eat potatoes, and these potatoes just looked so good this morning at the market. I said I have to buy some of those, and now I'm planning to make a nice potato soup, something, I don't know, I'm going to create it yet, but something potato soup for supper tonight for myself, because we also have a yucky rainy day, so it feels like nice warm soup is always comforting for me when it's cool and wet and raining outside. Another thing that I bought from the market today are these beautiful red beets. Oh my God, so lovely. Look at these greens. I don't actually usually, I usually ask, sorry, let me reverse that again. I usually ask the ladies at the vegetable market to take the greens off, because I don't usually do anything with them, and I've tried, but I or I've said yes to leave them on before, and then they just get rotting in my fridge. But this time I am going to take a look at some recipes for what I can do with the leaves of these, because they just look so beautiful. And of course there's nutritional value and properties in here. Absolutely. Different from what's down here, different from what's in the stem to what's on the green leaf, but it's all good for us. So those were a couple things I just wanted to show you what is available, or for what I got this morning from the market. And one more really important thing, thank you so much for listening to this entire video, that is always available fresh for you. I can't believe I even missed this when I was talking. I just get too excited and I keep talking. Sprouts. Sprouts. If you don't have room on a balcony, if you don't own a balcony, if you don't have a windowsill, do you have a kitchen countertop? Do you have access to fresh water? Because you can get a sprout tray and you can make sprouts every day for yourself to have access to fresh food that will provide you with the best life force ever. Sprouts are like the best, okay? They really, really are. And if you have been watching my videos up until now, or if you're going to watch any of the replays, I guarantee you, that if you have seen my little kitchen, I mean, you're only seeing one corner of it here, but it really doesn't exist much more over there. There's just the stove that's here and then the fridge. My kitchen is really the size of a shoebox. But I always have this sprout tray sitting here, so it's always going to be behind me. So I'm standing here usually talking like this. You might not be able to see it, but if I've ever moved, you will absolutely be able to see this sprout tray here, because I absolutely always have fresh sprouts available to eat, because I know that they are the best source of life force energy, and I know that I feel good when I eat life force energy, and I want you to feel good too. And if you're really interested, give me a call. Give me a message. We'll set up our clarity call so you can check out nutritionally empowered transformations. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I really wish you all the best. And I'm so glad that I had this last opportunity to get this in for you, because it was really important, and sprouts are amazing. So thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of your day. Take care, and looking forward to hear from you. Bye for now.